Hello everyone. It's it's been a little while, hasn't it? I do apologise, but regardless, let's pretend that it hasn't been over a year since I've done a video on one of these things, and let's look at a Psp Development Tool. Now, if you have watched my PS2 video on my PS2 tool, you will already have kind of an idea on what this thing is and does. But for those of you that don't, let's just run down what this is. This machine is pretty much used not necessarily to develop games on, but more to be used to test them in the development process. This is more of a testing machine than a development machine, as far as I'm aware, but then again I do know nothing, as it has been proven many times again and again. So let's just quickly give a rundown of the front of this machine while I try to hold it steady. So at the top we have, as you can see, the UMD slot, which is probably my favourite thing of this device because it has a little button that does this. It pops it open, and you put your UMD games in there and then you can play them. Below that we have the drive select between the UMD and this thing here, which is just a DVD drive. So if you have any, if when the games are being tested, they would obviously be burned onto DVDs first instead of being burned onto UMDs, which is a lot more hassle and expensive and yada yada yada. So you have this little button here that switches between booting from this and this. Then you obviously have your power button here, which turns it on. You've got two buttons under here, which I'll admit I don't really know exactly what they do. You've got your system initiation, I assume so, and then network initiation. I'm not too sure. You have your memory stick duo slot here for any save games or any, I suppose, games that are stored on there. You can play them as well. You've got these two ports here, which are for the PSP device itself. We'll get back to that later. You have your dip switches here, which, as most people don't know what the hell they do, including me, I won't spend too much time on it. And you have your headphone port here. And as you can see here, it just says Development Tool, and then the model number DTP-T1000. I think it's 1000A, actually, but... So that's just the front of this system. It is very, very cool. Take a look at the side now. And if it wants to zoom in, as you can see, it was manufactured in July of 2006. So this is a relatively early machine, because I think that's about when they came out. Was it? Or was it 2005? Oh, I can't remember. Yeah, the model number here has a little A on the end of it, so I guess that's another defining feature of it. Up at the top, we'll look at first. As you can see, oh, well, not even any point hiding it. There's property of IDOS, who made, I believe, I did look it up when I got this, which was admittedly like at the end of last year, so it's been a little while. They made a couple of PSP Tomb Raider games, I think, I believe, which is possibly what this was used for. I think they made some other games as well, but I can't honestly remember. Back of this machine, we have big old fan up at the top here. We have a antenna. I don't, was this used for Wi-Fi? I don't know. It's an antenna anyway, which is pretty cool. You got two blocked off ports. I can only assume one of them would be serial, and I think is there possibly another VGA under there? I could take it off and find out, but yeah, whatever. We have an RF connector here. We have a foot switch connector here. Don't ask me what that does, because I'm not too sure. We have an Ethernet port here. We have a output here, which is the VGA, and we have two audio out, white and red, and we have the power connector here, which boots the machine up. Swing that down again. On this side we have nothing apart from reminders that it was abused in its lifetime, apparently, because this thing is beat up as hell. And as you can see, there's the remains of a sticker that used to say something. It's hard to tell. Is that like a J and an A? I don't know. Bottom, its cute little feet, which I must admit I do like, because it actually has a stand to just sit there on. So that is the machine itself. Now that's not all, of course, because you do get a couple of other things with the device, and I'll show them to you, if I can speak, right now. So, here you are. What we have here is the power supply for the machine itself. Get this off of it. This is a special power supply that only works with this machine, as you could probably imagine. We have the exact specification of it here, 19.5 volts. You got the model number for it there. Yeah, 9.5 volts, 6.15 amps. That's the model number of itself there. Was apparently tested for electrical safety on December 2011. Some of that is, I would assume so. You got your end for the PSP here, your wall plug end here. It just uses a, I believe, is it a figure of 8, or yeah, it's a figure of 8 cable it uses. Nothing too special with that. Then we have the PSP itself here, which is very strange because this is still a PSP, but it has like basically none of the hardware. Doesn't have a UMD slot, doesn't really have anything inside it apart from a board for the buttons, the screen, and the cable that goes out, because all the work is done by this thing, because all the hardware is in here, which we will take a look at later on. So as you can see, these are the two connections that it hooks up to. You got your main one here if it wants to focus. Maybe. Hello? Yes, there we go. So this is what connects there, and then you got your little mini USB hooks in there. In fact, let's just plug it in right now. So this goes in this way. Yeah. And then it clicks in with a very satisfying click. And then you got this bit that plugs in to here. And they can't come out, which is great. And then you can play it on here, and it displays on here and both to an external screen as well, if you wanted it to. I'm going to take that out, and to take out this bit, you need to push down 2 clips on the bottom and the top, and then pull. I love that. I love things that click in and lock. That's why DisplayPort is one of my favourite connections, and yet nothing uses it. So that's the 2 connections for this device, really, that you'd only use because, I mean, nobody's going to have a foot switch for this thing if they can figure out what it does. So, we've spent enough time talking about the outside of it. Let's look at the inside of this machine. So, here we have the device on its back. I've already taken out the necessary screws, which is one here, and one up here. They all have little arrows pointing to them, as you can see, and also this is starting to come away. So, let's try to set this down. I don't know exactly how I'm going to be able to do this one-handed, but we'll have a go. Now this should just slide off like this, so... Come on, you fucking prick. Look how easy that was. There we go. So, spin this around. Yes, it's not a carpet. Don't worry, it's fine, it's fine, it's okay. So, as you can see, I'll lift this up a bit. There we go. Here is the inside of the machine. This is the power supply. As you can see, it connects into there, through to here. There's your connector to the main board. This is the DVD drive. Takes up most of the internals. Then you have the rest of the board there. You can see a little coin cell battery hiding away there. That's what keeps the date and time. Various other connectors. Some ribbon cables. Heat pads, more cables. This is the fan here, obviously, as you can see. Now, the front panel also should just come off. Like this. Then off it comes. So here's the front panel. It is number 10 apparently, according to this. I don't know. Pretty neat. So here's the front of the machine without the front. Still get your dip switches, all the buttons and everything still there. Got your little memory card slot there and everything. It's quite cool because when it's like this, you can actually see how the front bit of it operates with the UMD drive, because this little bit pushes here and it opens up. Quite neat. I do like that. Now, there's one thing that this machine doesn't have that the PS2 tool did have, which is it doesn't have a hard drive, because it doesn't really need one. It could have one if it wanted one, I suppose, but it does not have the ability to have a hard drive, so to speak. So there's nothing that you could really get off of this machine, the same as you could from a newer development tool, because it doesn't have any internal storage. Now let's take these two screws off and see if we can get this out of the way and take a good look at the board without any of this stuff in the way. Okay, so I just attempted to take those screws out and learned that I would probably need to undo this zip tie here and get all these cables out of the way and everything. I don't want to do it that much. So, I mean, you can find pictures of just board scans online. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'll put one on the screen right now. How about that? There you go. That's what the board looks like without any of this stuff in the way. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to the insides of this. Certainly in relation to the PS2 tool, which was absolutely incredible how much that had inside it. But yes, internally it obviously has a lot going on, more than the PSP anyway. So this has some of the extra hardware that would be needed to play some of the games that were being developed at the time. Right, and I think that's enough looking at the insides of this thing, and let's now turn it on. See what we can get going when the machine is booted up. So here we have the machine itself plugged into the controller, plugged into the power, and plugged into the monitor. Now let's turn this thing on right here. I have it set to boot up to the UMD, because we're going to play a game from there. Now the thing with a lot of these development tools is that they usually take a little while to turn on and fully kind of configure themselves, which is kind of a hassle because you can never really tell if it's actually doing anything or not, because it'll usually flash for a while and then these will light up and then it'll finally boot up. Oh, there we go. So that took like what, about a minute? We have life, and we have life on there too. So as you can see, it just mirrors the display to the screen, exactly what you have here, which is pretty neat. As you can see, the resolution's a bit fucked because it's not meant to be really used as a perfect output, but it is. It's fairly good. Now on here we can check in the system settings if well, it's his nickname right there. System information. As you can see, it is running System Software version 6.37 Development Tool Revision A. So it has its own special firmware, as you'd expect. Of course, it doesn't have any saves on it because there's no memory stick inserted, but we can put in the game I have here, which is a pre-production copy of Pursuit Force version 0.08. Pop that into here. Oop, fuck's sake. There we go. Get in there. Now that should load up on here. And I believe if you had a PSP game correctly burned onto a DVD, you could run it that way too. But yeah, we can boot up Pursuit Force. And I don't think there's really any differences between this pre-production copy and the final game. None that I could see anyway. Maybe there are some less noticeable ones, but I couldn't find any. That's spinning away down there. Oh, there we go. There's Pursuit Force. So it works like a normal PSP as you would expect it to. 2005, yeah, so that's when the PSP came out. Probably complains that there's no memory stick because it can't save. So yeah, as you can see, it has the sound on here too, because of course VGA doesn't support sound. I love Pursuit Force, it's such a fucking cool game. Never played the sequel though. But it works the same as you'd expect any PSP too. Quit that because we don't really need to try to play that one-handed. Now I think one of the last things I can show you is this has some debug settings. I'll show it on the main screen, it'll be a bit easier. So down at the bottom of the settings we have debug settings. We can change how much memory is available, 32 megabytes or 64 megabytes. And we've got a variety of settings here. They're just for developers to use, to test certain things. A lot of these, I don't really know what they do. There's not that many in reality, but they are quite neat. And so I think that really is about it for the PlayStation Portable Development Tool. It's a very neat system. I do quite like it. It wasn't that expensive either, so that's quite nice. It's always nice when you get something for relatively cheap. Take that out there. Oops. Fuck. I don't. There we go. Got it out. Close that. And yeah, the DVD drive should open up. You can put any DVD in there. I don't have one to test on it because I've not been successful in making a bootable PSP game. I tried. I'll say that much. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this because I do very much enjoy having these things. Like I said, I got this kind of towards the end of last year, so I've been holding on to it for a little while. I just haven't really gotten around to making a video on it. But I do have a few more PlayStation and also an Xbox related development unit. So look forward to those in the near future, because I'm going to be making more videos on these. And I hope to see you soon, because maybe we'll see a video on a certain PlayStation 3 development, on a certain PlayStation 3 development tool. Anyway, ignore that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed it. This was another awesome eBay find. And let's have some more in the future. So I'll see you then. Bye.